Okay, so now we're at Genesis 19, and we're going to talk about Sodom and Gomorrah and the destruction of it. And I think one of the keys to understanding this story is that Jesus talked about this, about the escape of Lot and his family, and the lack of escape of Lot's wife is a good parallel to us escaping this world. And also in another place, I believe it's in 2 Peter, Lot is called righteous. So when we think of it that way, that'll help us really see into this. And I think there's a lot of symbolism that Lot is a picture of the believers in Jesus Christ who are going to escape destruction. And so the story starts out with the two messengers coming to him, two angels that were previously with Abraham, and they're coming into the city to see what's going on there. And Lot is at the gate of the city, which means he has some leadership there, which I think could be, maybe even a little picture there that many people in the church, many believers in Jesus Christ have enjoyed some leadership in our world, even though our world is corrupt, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. And so when the messengers come in, Lot sees them, and Lot insists that they stay with him. And so he accepts the messengers, right? And he knows how wicked the city is. And you'll see that the people of the city, the men of the city, want to actually rape these angels. And, that's horrible. I think there's a lot of symbolism in it. But first off, I think we should note that Lot accepted the messengers of God. And I think that's the first key. So those of us who will escape the destruction of this world, because God is going to destroy this world by fire, the universe, I believe, by fire. And I think even before that, before there's a new heaven and a new earth, I think Jesus will have a literal 1,000-year reign. But he's going to shut out many people, and those who get to enjoy it are those who accepted his message, his message, his messengers. And I think these two messengers can be symbolic of the Old and New Testament, and they can be symbolic of Israel and the church. Not necessarily, but I think they're a great picture. And so the question is, do you accept God's messengers? There's so many of them. There's the Bible. There's people who speak the truth. Have you accepted the message and the messengers of God? Because that's your only chance to escape destruction. And I love how Jesus said that my sheep hear my voice. Don't get over frustrated when people don't accept the message. It's sad. I think it tells us in 1 Corinthians that the gospel is foolishness to those who are perishing. And so the message is foolish. The messengers are foolish, but it's our only chance to escape the destruction that's coming to our world. It was Lot's only chance to escape the destruction that was coming to Sodom. And so the next thing that we see is that, he takes them in, he dines with them. And even Jesus said that. He said, if you'll let me in, behold, I stand at the door and knock. And anyone who lets me in, I'll come in and dine with them. This is a good picture of that. But then we see that the men surround the house, and they want to rape the messengers of God. Isn't that crazy? And I think that's really symbolic. When we see sexuality in the Bible, it's symbolic, right? The relationship between a man and a woman is symbolic of Christ and the church, and Christ goes into the church and it produces life, right? And so I think also homosexuality is a picture of homospirituality. In other words, we were meant to worship God alone, and when we don't, that's adultery, and it's a spiritual perversion. And so what we see in the world is, instead of God having this beautiful relationship with mankind, that's heterospirituality, you could call it, because they're different. God and man are different. What we see in the world is this homospirituality. In other words, two like beings are trying to come together in a way they weren't meant to. In other words, we have people worshiping people, we have people worshiping creation, we have people worshiping demons by all these other religions or false religions are really demonic, and demons are fallen angels, and fallen angels are created beings. So what you have is these like beings, creation, worshiping creation, and it shouldn't be that way. And so when we see that these men surround Lot's house and they want to rape in a homosexual manner the messengers of God, I think that's just a good picture of what we see in the world, where we see so many people and organizations and governments, and we'll see with the Antichrist, that they want to force creation to worship creation, and it should not be that way, right? Homosexuality is just a good picture of homospirituality, of trying to get creation to worship itself, or worship something in its like manner, other creation, and it shouldn't be that way. And so that's a good question for you. I hope you're a believer in Jesus Christ. I hope you've accepted his messengers and his message, and I hope you're not many of those or those who like to force other people to do something they shouldn't do, right? Just as homosexuality and rape is an awful perversion, so is trying to force someone to not worship Jesus. And we see that all over this world, and we're definitely going to see that with the Antichrist.